We spent 3 weeks in Ho Chi Minh City, and we've got some tips for you. From SIM cards to transportation to a very common scam you're going to want to avoid. Sit back and we are going to give you 6 great tips for your visit to Ho Chi Minh City.
We got a tip, Miss Fletcher.
A tip from whom?
I'm David. This is Rob. We are 10 degrees warmer. Thank you for stopping by. Let's get right into it.
So our first tip is going to be about SIM cards. We all have phones, we want them to work. I have an iPhone. I will often use a service like Airolo and use eSIMs. It's just very convenient to have it up and running when you land in a country. But for Vietnam, we didn't do that. When we got to the airport, right in the airport terminal, right before we went through immigration, there was a kiosk that was selling SIM cards. It was very crowded. The immigration was, it was a very long line. So I was just like, let's do it. I went up to the person, I handed them my phone, and I said, I want to get a SIM card. And before I could even finish my sentence, I swear he had my phone 5 seconds. He handed it back to me. He had already taken out my old SIM card, put in a new one, and handed it back to me. It was very, very fast. It cost about 16 US dollars, about 16.50, and it was good for 30 days for the whole time that I was there. One thing I will say, before going, I had heard that in order to get a real SIM card, you needed to register with your passport. There was something about the registration of it to make it perfectly legal. They did not ask me for anything like that. So I was a little concerned that maybe down the line I would have problems, but I didn't. It worked just fine the whole time we were there. They were selling, they must have sold 30 SIM cards while I was standing there. It was just so busy and everybody was getting one. So that is a little bit cheaper. I had really good service the whole time that I was in town. We didn't ever leave Ho Chi Minh, so we weren't out in the boonies or anything, but right there in town, it was great service, $16.50, and I didn't have any issues.
Oh, it worked! Hey!
Let's talk about transportation. Ho Chi Minh City is not known for a great ground transportation system. Buses are difficult. The subway does not yet exist. It is coming in 2024, I think. It's been postponed a few times. And then it will only be one line going from District 1 to the northeast. So what we did mostly was use Grab. Grab is very easy and cheap there. You can also do taxis, but we did Grab. Let's see, we did one from the airport to District 1, the far side, and that was $12. When we returned to the airport, we were closer to the airport, and so that cost us $6. And there was one time, usually we walk everywhere, and it is a walkable city.
Yeah.
I would say, we'll talk about crossing streets later, but it is a walkable city. But we took a Grab across District 1 once, and it cost us $3 to go all the way. Anything else transportation-wise? I think we're good.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
So I will move on to housing. So we like to get Airbnbs with kitchens when we travel because we tend to cook whenever we can. It's just a great way to save on costs, and sometimes it's just easier. However, in Ho Chi Minh, this is the first time this has ever happened to us, where we spent a little bit more for our accommodations to make sure we had kitchens, and then we never used them because the food in Ho Chi Minh is so affordable and delicious.
And good.
It's just more affordable to eat out at a pho place or getting a banh mi sandwich, or plenty of the other places that we went was more affordable than trying to go to a grocery store and buy pasta and sauce or something. So our advice is, even if you think you like to cook, you're not going to need to do that in Ho Chi Minh. Find a cheaper place that doesn't necessarily have the kitchen, and find those great local places to have some really delicious food.
What's next?
I think next you're going to talk about crossing the street.
Crossing the street is
Crazy.
a level beyond any other city.
Awesome.
But it's fun.
Yeah.
At first, you're going to be so intimidated. You're going to walk up to the corner and you're going to just stand there and stare at the motorbikes and the taxis and all the honking, and you are not going to want to go across that street. Mm-hmm. And then you'll watch other people do it, for the locals, and they just glide through the traffic as if it's not there at all. So go with confidence. When you cross the street, walk, look at the traffic, of course. Don't just walk without looking, but don't change your pace. Just keep going straight across and the taxis and the motorbikes will go right around you.
Yeah.
First time you do it, go with locals though. That's what I recommend.
Yes.
Like find a local who's crossing the street and cling to their side and they'll take you right across.
Someone to me described it as you are the rock and they are the river. As long as you're acting in a predictable way, they don't want to hit you either. They're going to go around you.
And they're so used to it.
Yeah.
That's just the way they drive there.
Yeah.
They're used to people crossing the streets and they're looking for it.
Now, in downtown Ho Chi Minh, there are some places that have crosswalks.
There's quite a few actually.
Yeah, so that'll be easy.
With lights.
But you're always going to come across those places where there just isn't a light or there's a really big detour to get around. Don't stress out too much. Just calm, slow and steady, cross the street.
Yeah.
All right, so I wanted to talk about a scam that someone warned us about, and I'm so glad they did because otherwise we probably would have gotten fooled. So the only place we noticed this happening is right around the park for the Reunification Palace. Mm-hmm. There's guys who walk around and they've got a long stick that they put across their shoulder, and then on either end of the stick they're balancing like a basket. And they've got different things in the baskets, but often it's coconuts, and they're walking around and they're trying to sell coconuts. But here's what they'll do is they will come up to you and they'll make some joke about you being a big, strong tourist and get you to hold the thing for them. Like it's fun for you to get to try out what it's like to carry it. And then while you're distracted with that, they will open up one of their coconuts and give it to you to drink. And it seems like, oh, they're just being a really friendly local and they've given me this coconut whether you want it or not. And then once it's opened, then they charge you for it afterwards. And our friends got charged like $30 for a coconut that you can buy anywhere in that city for less than $1 probably.
Yeah.
And so you just have to be aware. One of the guys, we were waiting to cross the street, and at that point we were pretty good crossing the street, but we were waiting for an appropriate break. And he came up to us and like made a big show of helping us across. And then as soon as we got across, he was like, look at your muscles, and tried to hand it to me. And I was like, no, thank you. And we took off, and some other guys that kind of got trapped there, he moved on to them. So just be aware, everyone is super nice. We did not have a big problem in Ho Chi Minh with scams or anything like that. But this one is something that you will see when you're around Reunification Palace. Do not get tricked into buying a coconut for $30 that you don't want.
If you're enjoying this video, please do us a favor and hit that subscribe button.
Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe.
This last one, our bonus, is something that may not apply to all of you, but some of you it might, and you'll want to pay attention. This happened because of a peculiarity of my last name.
We were leaving Kuala Lumpur. So really, this is a big tip for people coming to Ho Chi Minh from Kuala Lumpur on AirAsia.
Yeah. So we got to the airport, we got up to the front of the line, and he opened our passports, and he went through Rob's pretty quickly, then he went through mine, and he went through mine, and he went through mine, and he went through line by line by line, and we had no idea what he was doing. And in the end, it took probably a half hour of him going through this, going to talk to other people, coming back, going through it. Eventually, after about a half hour, we found out that
He finally came back and told us what was going on.
that my name is McMullen. And on my passport, it's MC space Mullen. On the ticket,
On the visa
visa,
to get into Vietnam.
it was all one word. MCMULLIN. And since there was that space discrepancy, it apparently was
a big deal to him.
big deal. And so he finally went through a supervisor, and we had to go talk to other people. And finally, the supervisor seemed to not really care much and was like, let him go. So in the long run, we were okay, but it could have been bad.
Yeah. And then when we got to Vietnam, there was no issue there either.
Nobody
They didn't care. It was just that airline in Kuala Lumpur that almost did not let us go because of this space, no space.
So just a general note, always pay attention to spellings and spaces and everything on these official documents.
So those are our tips. I hope you might find them helpful. We loved Vietnam. We loved being in Ho Chi Minh City. I'm sure you're gonna love it too. It definitely has some pho for us because, oh my gosh, it was so good. But enjoy your trip. I hope this helps. We release a new video every Sunday, so we will see you next time. To help you better enjoy your stay in Ho Chi Minh City. Ho Chi Minh City.
Is it a song?
Obviously, it's a song. You don't know it? How embarrassing for you. Hi, I'm David. That doesn't work.
I'm
I'm trying to think how I'm going to...
Think about it. Okay. Subscribe! Okay.
Oh my God.
If you're enjoying this video, subscribe. We don't care why.
Subscribe.
Subscribe, and I'll give you a cookie.
Today and not tomorrow.